Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in our newsrooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. ZESCO, powering the nation.
Apple Max. Take it to the max.
Want to just get out of town with your friends and family? Are you having a corporate getaway and have no adequate transport? Then this here is what you need to listen to. A brand new 35-seater Yutong luxury bus is now up for hire at an affordable and negotiable rate. It comes fully equipped with aircon, TV for your relaxation, music soothing your trip, and DVD players to give you variety. Book now by calling 0955 0966 or 977 844 141.
What makes the new Yo-Yo Chipsy so unique? 100% natural ingredients. Nothing artificial. Just a pure experience of freshness. Chipsy potato chips. We know you'll love them.
Hey girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Air Jungle.
A warm welcome to Prime TV's main news. To present it, my name is Gwen Wheeler. To begin the news, we take a look at some of the stories that are making headlines. Furious UPND women stage a protest over the death of Glazier Matapa. Zambia records a decrease in inflation rate for the month of February. Bus drivers infuriated over PF cadres harassing them at UTH bus station. And in international news, suicide attack against Turkish embassy in the Central African Republic in Kabul. More, do stay tuned. And now the news in detail. The United Party for National Development, UPND women, have protested against the continued killings, beatings and arrests of their members. The women, led by their national chairperson, Namakao Kawiku, marched from the party's secretariat to the cabinet office where they sought to be addressed by the Home Affairs Minister, Davis Mwila. And delivering a petition to Mr. Mwila, Ms. Kawiku condemned the police over what she termed as selective arrests of their cadres. Ms. Kawiku said the PF government is shielding its violent cadres and only taking swift action against UPND cadres while protecting PF cadres. However, Mr. Mwila assured the law will not shield anyone because Zambia is for everyone.
All dressed in black, struck with grief, these are UPND women who have now said enough is enough to political violence being targeted against their members. The women marched from their party secretariat to the Ministry of Home Affairs to seek an audience with the Minister of Home Affairs on the continued killings, beatings and arrest of their members. The placard-carrying women sang songs denouncing President Edgar Lungu and the PF, while many of them wept throughout. But as they were about to enter the cabinet premises, they were stopped by the police to pave way for Tanzanian President Jakaya Kikwete's convoy, which was coming from State House. Home Affairs Minister Davis Mwila, accompanied by his deputy Panji Kaunda and his two permanent secretaries, were forced to address the grieving women and assured them that government will not be selective when it comes to the dispensation of the law.
You yourselves, you know the people who killed that woman. You know. That's a man, yes. But the appeal I'm going to make to all of us as politicians, whether PF, whether UPND, whether MMD, this has not happened for the first time. Let's stop inciting our cadres. This country belongs to all of us. That I'm talking as Minister of Home Affairs. This country belongs to all of us. So let's stop inciting cadres to rise against other people.
But before the minister addressed them, a petition was presented to him by UPND National Chairperson Namakao Kawiku, who led the women.
These files, some of them police reports which were given to the media, and nothing has happened. Our young men went to apprehend the people that killed their friend because they knew them, they lived together in the same compound. The next thing they do, they arrest our boys who are appearing in court here for doing a better job to arrest the criminals. They are now languishing in your police cells. And then, that was not enough. A young man called Tayani, who we know is a person who works with the PF, follows us at a press briefing at a hotel, Golden Bridge. They get him out of the premises and say, you are not one of us. The young man who got him from there is languishing in the police for the past 1 month. What kind of police is this?
Here, emotions were extremely high as most people could not hold it and broke down in between statements. Kalan Chima, reporting for Prime TV News in Lusaka.
A post-mortem has been done on murdered UPND Munali constituency youth chairman Glazia Matapa. This is to ascertain the actual cause of death. By 10:30 hours Thursday morning, a combined team of forensic officers from the Zambia Police, Department and UTH officers had already gathered to conduct the procedure. Mr. Matapa was killed on Sunday night at Mtendere East Market by suspected PF cadres. He is expected to be buried on Friday. The PF says UPND cadre was killed by criminals after a drinking spree at night and not PF cadres. Please, we would like to warn our sensitive viewers that the pictures you are about to see may be disturbing as they are too graphic.
The body of the late UPND Munali Constituency Youth Chairman Glazia Matapa lies lifeless at the UTH mortuary. Surrounding it are forensic experts and UTH officers about to conduct a postmortem on it to ascertain the cause of death. But a closer look at the body shows that the man was killed in a manner one could never imagine. His head was completely damaged and had to take doctors to mend it. One of his eyes was also damaged, while his right ear was ripped off. Mr. Matapa's stomach was equally not left in good shape, as it was just stitched to avoid continued dripping of blood. Mr. Matapa, who was gruesomely killed on Sunday, will be put to rest on Friday, and his body has since been moved to St. Anne's in readiness for burial.
Sinza bwelela kumbuyo ngati bafuna kutine nisiye ku support UPND babwele futi babwele bapaye ine banisirizi letu.
Kalan Mchima reporting for Prime TV News in Lusaka.
Millimil traders in Lundazi district have defied government directive to reduce the price of a 25-kilogram bag of breakfast from 70 kwacha to 61 kwacha, citing high transportation costs from Chipata. A check revealed traders had not effected reduction to 61 kwacha per 25-kilogram bag of breakfast as directed by government. One of the local traders, John Chibanga, proprietor of Chibanga Traders, said he had not effected reduction as directed by government and attributed this to the high transportation costs from Chipata to Lundazi. Mr. Chibanga said the traders were reluctant to reduce the milli-meal prices because of the high order prices in Chipata currently paged at 65 kwacha each. And another milli-meal trader, Fairwatch Beta of Seka Seka Traders, who sells a 25 kg bag of breakfast at 70 kwacha, said most traders in Lundazi were still selling old stock. Bus drivers and traders operating at UTH bus station have expressed anger over suspected PF cadres collecting monies from the bus drivers. The drivers say they are operating in fear each day because cadres follow them up to collect and get cash from them. They have told Prime TV that their businesses have been affected because they don't make enough money for cashing. The drivers have called on President Edgar Lungu to intervene in the matter and stop political cadres from collecting their money. They have revealed to local authorities to take up their position and ensure sanity prevails in bus stations. The drivers have wondered whether they also need to be cadres for them to make money for their daily living.
In weekends, right? What I witnessed it about 2 times, 3 times they are coming here to come and grab the money. We want, in fact, they come here not to grab the money, but to grab the whole station. They want them to be here, not us. And yet we all campaigned or we voted for him. We have got we have all the authorities.
Nchito kulibe, nchito kungopaya bantu basila kungopayiwa bantu. Ora manje chechizankala bwanji, chameti zankala no peace. Unkala ndi oyo but kapena azabwela kada bwela chipai. Chilibe peace manja paziko ya lula.
Mama, opondira nombane bungwazi. Nizajja bwanji bala singa nombana tuana kwa kanyama kakuri edika ku State House mubebe bwangu kuno fyala isana futi
nikutlanga napo monga ku station yatu yakuno because akatipoka station kwetzaenda kuti semanje mwaona kuno ndiwe tidira isi so monga makadazi waso because of bonse nsa makadazi but namavotera bonse beta tinase batlanga napo kuno at least
Nine Samson book lineman ni Samson banpoka ndalama kuno hospital 1.8 ya mani malemba malaini pepani makadi bativuta pano
The Central Statistics Office has recorded a decrease in the annual inflation rate in the month of February to 7.4% from 7.7% in January 2015. CSO Acting Director Goodson Sinyenga says food and non-alcoholic products accounted for 3.9%, while non-food products accounted for 3.5%. He says the monthly inflation rate for February 2015 was recorded at 0.3 compared to 0.7% in January 2015, which represents a decrease of 0.4 percentage points. And Mr. Sinyenga has announced that Zambia recorded a trade deficit valued at 113.7 million kwacha in January 2015 from a trade deficit of 72.7 million kwacha in December 2014. Zambia has recorded a decrease in the annual inflation rate for the month of February 2015. The decrease in inflation rate is from 7.7% in January 2015 to 7.4% in February, and this will have a positive impact on growth. In many cases, the rise in inflation rate brings sad reading, as this normally erodes people's purchasing power and their standard of living. Acting Director of Central Statistics Office, Goodson Sinyenga, says contrary to a decrease in inflation rate, the country has also recorded a trade deficit in January 2015. This scenario indicates that Zambia has imported more than it exported in normal terms.
Notice that there's been a decrease in the total value of metal exports from 4,278.5 million in December 2014 to 2,614.8 million in January 2015. The overall contribution of metals and their products to the total export earnings in January 2015 and December 2014 averaged about 76.3%.
The decrease in inflation rate is likely to have a positive impact on the development and growth of Zambia. Gwen Mwila reporting for Prime TV News in Lusaka. Before we take our first break, here are the headlines once again. Furious UPND women stage a protest over the death of Glazia Matapa. Zambia records a decrease in inflation rate for the month of February. Do stay tuned.
Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in unused rooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.
What's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real, cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Potato sticks, freaky fries. Get that awesome crunch.
We continue with the news. An 18-month-old baby has died after her mother went for an outing and later found her dead on her return. The woman, only identified as Faustina, is reported to have left her baby alone on Tuesday night, and when she came back home the following morning, the baby was found dead. And when Prime TV followed up the story in Chilenje, the woman and her family denied having left the baby to die and became uncooperative to the news crew. And the neighbors spoken to allege that it is not the first time that the woman is neglecting her baby, as she has a tendency of not taking good care of her babies every time she conceives.
Tuesday, but Nambelale Luxen. Kuli mkashana almost 23 years, aina bana babili. Then amaenda out almost usiku. At Tuesday usiku enze kwa African Bride. So anasi akamwana ka 3 weeks munyumba. So anabwa kuma 04 anapeza tuja mwana afu. So sana uza uli onse anauza chewa mai wake atu anapeza mwana toka apovu mukamwa. Bamai wake wanaenda kucheck na wanapeza timwanya enzo kufa kudala.
That's how they are. Never need to defend them if I did something. The Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, CCPC, is concerned with the act of bid rigging among players in the Zambian market. CCPC Executive Director Chilufya Sampa explains that according to a recent study by the World Bank, shows that government loses about 20% of its resources to unfair businesses on the market. Mr. Sampa notes with concern that this is mainly happening in the procurement sector. He says the act of players colluding is a serious criminal offense as it defrauds any government of its resources. Mr. Sampa said this during a one-day workshop between his institution and those from the Zambian procurement sector.
We have noticed that players in this market, the Zambian market, tend to collude. And one of the greatest part of competition law, as you will see in later presentation, is about cartels. Government is the largest procurement agency in any country. And where you have parties, the private sector or whoever it may be, deciding to collude as they bid for tenders that government has given, results in government losing a lot of money. World Bank studies have shown that maybe government pays approximately 20% more than they should for goods and services. Bid
rigging is an act where bidding companies that are normally competitors agree not to compete in the tender processes, but rather agree to raise prices of goods and services as well as agree on who wins the bid. Meanwhile, Principal Officer Capacity Building at the Zambia Public Procurement Authority, Terry Gunduza, has disclosed that there is rampant corruption in the procurement system. Mr. Gunduza says it is a well-known fact that the Zambian government is being defrauded of huge resources by those involved in the procurement system. He has since announced that ZPPA has partnered with the Anti-Corruption Commission to ensure that such vices are quickly brought to a halt.
It is true there's a lot of corruption in procurement. Maybe it could be briefly touched, but not so much in detail as in this workshop. But what we are doing as an institution, ZPPA, is that we want to work in collaboration with Anti-Corruption Commission, which is the ACC, as well as DEC, Drug Enforcement Commission, because we do recognize that procurement is not free from corruption. Actually, there's a lot of corruption which happens in most of these public institutions. So we are currently working with ACC to come up with a memorandum of understanding on how we can best work in partnership, both ZPPA and ACC, so that we see how to look at issues of corruption, because we do recognize corruption does happen.
We now take our second break, but still to Kami's news from around the world. Do stay tuned.
Apple Max. Take it to the max.
What makes the new Yo-Yo Chipsy so unique? 100% natural ingredients. Nothing artificial. Just a pure experience of freshness. Chipsy potato chips. We know you'll love them.
We continue with the news. A Sierra Leonean who worked with children orphaned by Ebola has died of the disease himself. Augustine Becker had been admitted to an Ebola treatment center after becoming ill last week. He worked for an orphanage run by a UK charity on the outskirts of Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown. 33 children and 7 staff at the St. George Foundation Orphanage have been in quarantine since Mr. Becker was diagnosed with the deadly virus. Ebola has killed more than 9,500 people in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea. The BBC's Tulip Madzunda reported from St. George Foundation Orphanage last month, but in recent weeks, the crisis has eased and the governments of the 3 countries have pledged to achieve zero Ebola infections within the next 2 months. A suicide bomber driving a car packed with explosives has targeted a vehicle of the Turkish embassy in the Afghan capital during the morning rush hour, police and Afghan officials have said. One Turkish national and an Afghan passerby were killed in the attack on Thursday morning, a police spokesman has said. Deputy Interior Minister Muhammad Ayub Salangis said a Turkish embassy vehicle was damaged and casualties were expected, the AP news agency reported. The Taliban swiftly claimed responsibility, saying it had targeted a convoy of foreign forces, causing many injuries, the Reuters news agency reported. The group often inflates casualty claims. The Turkish and Iranian embassies are adjacent in the center of Kabul. The blast took place outside the gate of Iran's mission. It was the second time an embassy vehicle has been targeted by attackers in the capital in recent months, after a British car was hit by a suicide bomber in November last year. For more news, we monitored Al Jazeera.
ISIL has reportedly secured a crucial bridge that connects the towns of Baghdadi and Haditha. Iraqi troops have been trying to take Baghdadi back from the group. The town's close to an airbase used by US and Iraqi soldiers, which was also attacked by ISIL suicide bombers on Thursday. Gulf nations are rallying behind Yemeni President Abdrabbu Mansour Hadi. They're relocating their ambassadors from the capital Sana'a to Aden, which is now Hadi's new power base. The UN Special Envoy to Yemen was in Aden to meet him.
I discussed with the President the current situation. We discussed where the negotiations are heading. We discussed even the venue for the negotiations. But the one thing that we all agreed on is that there can be no solution other than a peaceful, negotiated solution. There is no other way other than finding a peaceful solution through dialogue that involves all stakeholders in Yemen.
An Argentinian federal judge has dismissed a major case against President Cristina Kirchner. Prosecutors accuse Kirchner of covering up Iran's alleged involvement in the 1994 bombing of a Jewish center in Buenos Aires that killed 85 people. The judge said Nisman's documents failed to meet the standards needed to open a formal investigation. One person was killed and 5 others wounded when 5 bombs exploded in Cairo on Thursday. One of the bombs exploded outside a restaurant in the residential district of Mbaba, killing 1 and wounding 2. 3 policemen were wounded when another device went off near a police station in Al-Waraq. Funerals are being held in Afghanistan after more than 200 people died in a series of avalanches in the northeast of the country. Homes, schools and mosques were all buried in the Panjshir region. South Korea's constitutional court has struck down an adultery law that has criminalized extramarital affairs for the last 60 years. The statute was aimed at protecting traditional family values, but the court ruled it was unconstitutional. Under the law, adulterers could serve up to 2 years in prison, but few people have served time recently.
Well, those are some of the stories from around the world. We now move on to sports. Zambia Motorsports Association has donated mealie meal to more than 130 orphans in Zambia. ZMSA Vice President San Chingambo says the association is not only focusing on sports activities but also helping the less privileged in the country. Chingambo says the Motors Association of Zambia will continue helping the less privileged and ensure that they give support to where it is needed. He has, however, thanked Pembe Milling for being the major sponsor of the motorsport rally in the country. Chingambo says more stakeholders must come on board and sponsor the sport to be taken to another level. He said this in an interview with Prime TV.
We had 3 orphanages that were identified, and in partnership with our colleagues Pembe Milling, we were donating 100 bags of milling meal to these 3 orphanages so that it just alleviates the pressure that they have to run these orphanages. Dream Runners Orphanage, we gave them 25 bags. They look after 15 boys. And then we have Breath of Heaven Children's Village. They look after 60 children, and we gave them 40 bags of mealie meal. And we also have God at Work for Kids. They look after 38 kids, and they got 35 bags.
Well, that's all we had for you on our main news bulletin. But before we go, we take a look at the stories once again. Furious UPND women stage a protest over the death of Glazia Matapa. Zambia records a decrease in inflation rate for the month of February. Bus drivers infuriated over PF cadres harassing them at UTH bus station. And in international news, suicide attack targets Turkish embassy in the Central African Republic in Kabul. Well, thank you for staying tuned. This has been Gwen Wheeler, and do enjoy the rest of our programs.
Hey girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Potato sticks, freaky fries. Get that awesome crunch.
Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in unused rooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.